And the Tuskegee fighters, they were one of the few, if not the only, fighter squadron. They flew P-51s, fighter squadron, not to lose a bomber in World War II. And they stood in line to make sure that they got those Tuskegee airmen. It was 98th Squadron was the name. If you want to look that up, go to the library, and you see some of the things that the pilots endure because of segregation. That was back there in 41, 42. They could be in the Air Force was not integrated then. It was segregated. They had to stay in barrack tents instead of barracks. They had a lot of things. They didn't want the black pilots into the Army Air Force. That's what they call it then, the Army Air Force. But Mr. Flowers, we salute you and the 98th Squadron of Kentucky, of Tuskegee. Now, the other thing I like to emphasize, since this has happened and this has been brought out with Flowers being named here in Prince George County, the only high school that's been named after Tuskegee fighter pilot from the 98th Squadron. This is the only one in the country, so you should feel proud. But like I say, the things that they endured in order to be successful is something I like put a pitch in for Tuskegee University. First of all, on your next vacation, instead of going and spending a lot of money into these different resorts, take your family to Tuskegee, Alabama. There you have Booker T. Washington. You have George Washington Carver's museum there. You have Booker T. Washington, and you have a P-51 right in the middle of Tuskegee University. And I mean, it's something, I went there about 2 years ago. I didn't realize, if you really want to get the youngsters into the history, start taking them to the different programs that are sponsored by the African Americans. There's a lot, and this program down in Tuskegee, I'll guarantee you'll learn something, because I learned something in going to the George Washington Museum. George Washington Carver, great scientist. They gave him credit for the peanut. But when you go to that museum, you will see that George Washington Carver was an outstanding man. He was involved with the artificial limbs. We don't have time for the show for me to go through the things that George Washington Carver was involved in. And the only way that you're going to know, you have to visit that campus of the Tuskegee, Alabama University campus. There they have George Washington Carver, the great scientist museum. They had the Booker T. Washington. He was a founder of Tuskegee, Alabama. You need to, when you take your next vacation, think about Tuskegee. I'm telling you, you really will be rewarded, and your children will learn something that maybe they won't get in school. All right. The other young man that recently died, he was actually a writer for Newsweek magazine. See, when he was a veteran journalist, Samuel Yates started writing books and dealt with plots within the federal government to contain, control, and destroy U.S. black population. He gave his two sons stern orders not to let anyone know what he had in the works. He worked for Newsweek. That was when, hey, look, if you were African American, you didn't work for Newsweek unless you swept the floor. But what happened is that he wrote a book in 1971 titled The Choice, The Issue of the Black Survival in America. He was 81 years old, and he recently died January 21st. That's really recent. His father predicted that the magazine management would disapprove of his work, and he what he did, he told his kids not to let everybody know that he was working for Newsweek. So there's another young African American that has made contributions to society. That's Samuel Yates, and he was 81 years old. All right, we're going to move on to the evolutionary elders. You know what they are? They are individuals that have gotten together and decided they've retired. Some work 30, 40 years in their profession, but they have retired, and what they want to do is give back to the community. What have you given back to the community? I'm getting into the theme of the program, the theme of the Ed Brown Show. You have to volunteer for something. What have you done lately? When the last time that you've done something for somebody else, especially the young people? Here, now, this generation gap that they have between the elders. You know, most of the elders they retire after 40 years or something to start cutting grass. Wife keep them busy. But here's a young man that's been on the show before, Dr. Eugene Williams. Now he started the senior management program to help revolutionary elders get involved with the young people of this country. Now, here's a fantastic article, and this article is in the Afro magazine. It's in the seniors section. Now, a 2009 study conducted by the Center for Disease Control revealed that black teens and young adults are more prone to violence from their white counterpart. Despite the alarming facts, mentoring and counseling groups like the district-based evolutionary elders, that's the one that Dr. Williams, and he'll be coming back on the program to talk more about the evolutionary. Co-founder and author Dr. Eugene Williams Sr. said the organization fights the odds by maintaining a positive outlook about the future of the African American youth. All right. We don't want to be bothered with defeatist attitude. This is what Williams said. Williams is 68 years old. He's just a little younger than I. But anyway, our goal is to work with mentors, counselors, and organizations who have not given up on their children. Evolutionary elders seek to heal social ills that plague African American young men and women by bridging the generation gap. You know, there's a gap between the elders and the young people. Well, you can always tell that, you know, the young people are teaching the elders about the new electronic things that my grandson told me. Said you need to update that beeper. Said that only thing you can do is answer a phone. You have to get you one of those ones that talks to you and ads. You can do everything with it. But that's a good example. Dr. Williams is from Clinton, Maryland. He has established the Evolutionary Elders in the spring of 2010. So this is recent. He made his debut here on the Ed Brown Show, and he will continue to bring programs connecting with the young people. All right. His longtime friend, Wenzel Whitten, another 67-year-old, decided to say, we saw families and also in schools suffering, the young people. So they decided. The two men bring together men and women that were born in the 1930s and the 1940s, grew up in the 1950s, which one of those categories are you in, and become social revolutionary in 1960 to mentor and counsel young people and their families. These elders forfeit vacations in Miami to liberate and elevate Now liberate and elevate thinking and actions of the African American youth. We are African people and represent our attitude. That's what Whitten said. Therefore, we will never be senior citizens because senior citizens retire. Revolutionary elders expire. That's their theme. Now, there's a lot of you out there that have talent that can be used with the revolutionary elders. And there's a program called the Patriots in Seat Pleasant, Maryland. They have been on this show before. That's doing a wonderful job with the youth. And this is so very important. And the other organization, nonprofit organization, is the Job Corps. Now you've seen, if you've been watching the show, individuals that the Job Corps have produced. They talk about jobs. The Job Corps, they have produced jobs for everybody. And they are one of the organizations that you should write Obama and tell him make sure the Job Corps gets funded. Okay. Members empowered by venturing into this is what the evolutionary elders do. They go into schools, recreation centers, and churches across the D.C. metropolitan area with two-pronged mission. They have what they want to do. They want to get out there and teach the black youth about history and respect for elders. Okay, now what we're going to do, this program is going to be continued. I just touched on the revolutionary elders, and we're going to be continuing this program with the elders because they are doing an outstanding job. And if you want to hear more about the evolutionary elders, you can join, because what you can do is call Dr. Eugene Williams. He's waiting for you to call. When are you going to do something for the young people? Thank you. See you next time.